Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this brand new show on the channel. It is called The Big Debate. And what better debate than we can start it with than the hot news, the European Super League. We may not be debating whether we think it's a good idea or not, because the general consensus is it isn't, but we may be debating on the courses of actions that we might be able to take against the top six. As you can probably see, we've got a slightly different thought. I'm absolutely over the moon to say we've got young Manny back. How you doing, Manny?
I'm fine, thank you very much. Something to get our teeth into tonight. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And Manny obviously is the co-host on the Always Wolves podcast. This will be going out on the podcast as well. We've got Simon from Walsall Fan TV. Tell us a bit more about you, Simon, and your channel.
Walsall Fan TV is the joy and the pain from supporting Walsall, which, as you may be aware, has been a very big pain this season. But we've managed to survive the drop from the EFL and looking forward to having a better season next season, we hope.
Absolutely fantastic. And also then we've got Jude. What's your channel, Jude, and you're a Villa fan?
Yeah, I'm a Villa fan. My channel is Jude's Journey. I'm an aspiring young journalist trying to prove you could do something you love despite disability. So, pleasure to be on, making my debut.
You are. And we've also got a returning, representing West Ham. Hey, Russ.
Ians. How you doing?
How you doing? Just tell everyone about you. Glad you can hop on, mate. And you've got the best mic of all of us.
Good.
Oh, I thought he was going to sing us a song or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, champion, champion. We will be if everyone else if they kick everyone else out, we'll be champions. Yeah. So I run my Hammers 11. So we're We just do nostalgia, really. We don't really do this topical stuff. I'm not used to doing this topical stuff. I talk about the bygone ages and interview loads of fans and ex-players and stuff. But glad to be back on the channel, mate.
And also, you are the official announcer down at West Ham as well, are you not?
I'm the DJ. I'm not the announcer. I'm the DJ. So I play all the music, yeah. So I've been doing that for many, many years. So will I be there on Saturday? Who knows? We've got Chelsea on Saturday, so who knows? Who knows?
There's some certain songs you can play on that day, can't you?
To be fair, just to let you know, Manny is obviously a big Wolves fan, my co-host on the podcast. Jude runs a Villa YouTube channel. You've got the Clarets in common with him. Yeah. And then Simon is obviously Walsall Fan TV from an EFL League 2 squad, but he's also a DJ as well in a previous life.
In my youth, I don't DJ anymore. Previously, hospital radio and nightclub DJ and mobile DJ, that kind of stuff. Great times.
So it's absolutely fantastic to have you all on the channel. And if you're watching, please, and enjoy this, make sure you smash a like on the video. Feel free to share on your socials and on your groups. Let's get really stuck into the debate. And about this, we've got a good cross-section. Of course, the announcement yesterday by 12 European clubs, 6, the so-called top 6 or big 6. I say that with a big asterisk next to the name. And obviously, we've got 6 other clubs representing La Liga and Serie A. The interesting thing, none of the French clubs, it's PSG, have gone with this. And, of course, the German clubs have not gone. The German clubs do have a model, whereas they have 51% fan ownership. Interesting, all the pundits, even, fans, all the supporters trusts as well of all the big so-called big 6 have all come out against this. Manny, I'll go to you first. How are you feeling and what do you think about this decision for the future?
You know what? We've heard about Super League and, breakaway leagues for a number of years. It's not a new thing. And it's always been a bit of a false dawn and it just goes away because there's no appetite for it. Now, this has all been done completely and utterly behind closed doors. You've seen the manager of Liverpool come out, not really saying anything because he's admitted that even he wasn't consulted. So you got the the champions of England, and their major number one employee is the manager of the club, not consulted in a decision like this. It's absolutely horrific. Let's take away those 6 sides, the self-appointed 6 sides, take away their names and their history. This is the leadership. When you get a bad leader in charge of a company, it'll take you to hell. And this is what we've got. We've got colluders, scavengers, ruthless businessmen that have turned football, which was a passionate pastime for normal blokes to attend with their families and their sons and their daughters, and just go down there and enjoy the joy and the passion and the camaraderie and the interaction with your fellow workmates or your friends, getting away from your life's chores. And they've took that away and turned it into a business. And they didn't start last night. They started, let's be honest, in 1992 with the creation of the Premier League. We accepted the Premier League because it kept the structure exactly the same. 4th division to the 1st division. They had a name change, but there was still a possibility of climbing through the ranks and then qualifying for Europe. They've got rid of that. They've just appointed themselves as the wonderful 6 who can never be touched, regardless of merit and regardless of achievement. And it's absolutely horrific. It goes against everything that football stands for in this country, particularly. I probably understand in Serie A, and because those leagues have been going downhill for a number of years, they really have, and they've sort of limited to the number of clubs, and the crowds they get lower down are very small. We can still get 30,000 in the championship in this country. We don't need these Big 6. This is what they want to do. Do one. We'll survive.
Absolutely well said. Absolutely well said. Very, very passionately put. I'm going to go to Russ next. Russ, you've suffered the last 2 or 3 years. We know you've suffered with everything and the owners and stuff like that. And you are having an absolutely fantastic season, just like Wolves were last season, dreaming of making the Champions League.
Yeah.
And, this Super League, the way it's been set up, is basically going to shut out someone like Wolves, Villa, West Ham, and I dare say it, lowly at the moment, but what's to stop Wolves from having their dreams? I mean, let's face it, it can be done. It's been done before with teams coming through, and why can't Walsall fans dream? But you're dreaming a Champions League, and if this comes in, if it was another year, whenever it's going to come in, it's basically shutting West Ham fans and your dreams out. We were talking the other week about the European trips you've been on. I mean, how angry are you about this, Russ?
I part of me feels this is a huge power play by the 12 clubs. It's no coincidence when the announcement was made just before the actual the revamped Champions League format had been part, and even that, to be honest, that is very similar. There's, as well as qualifying, there's some extra places for elite clubs who don't qualify. It's one of those things where I think I see both sides. For me, I think if it's if they, I don't know, in terms of the Premier League guys, they chuck them out, or they give them a points deduction, whatever. I can't see it coming to fruition. I can't see it. I think from a PR perspective, who's going to back them in terms? I know JP Morgan put the money in, but it's not going to be on Sky. It's not going to be on BT. DAZN, they've pulled out as well. They apparently were doing it, but they're not. And so if it's going on Amazon, it's going on Disney. All this publicity. It's not just us talking. 5 of us. Everyone. Gary Neville, the Prime Minister, everyone is like saying
Prince William today.
There we go, Prince William. Do you know what I mean? So many people are coming out. I mean, you saw today the Liverpool coach pulled out, and everyone outside the Leeds, outside Ellen Road. All the fans. It's anyone that touches this Super League is going to be tarnished with that same brush. And it's obviously, we know it's just about money. It's not about the fans at all. You know, the common fan, normal fan can't go to Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, you know, 3 times a year. I just find it really sad. I find it really sad because, you know, the Premier League, and also the ambition of the players as well. It's just going to be like the Chinese Super League, which everyone knew was a cash cow and would go to be a cash cow. You know, Arnautovic obviously famously went out there from West Ham and various others. The same thing will happen, because it doesn't matter, you know, for a lot of players now. You know, I look at someone like Declan Rice. There's no way Declan Rice is going to go to Man United if they're in the Super League, because that's all he can win. All you can win is the Super League. Well done. You know, the JP Morgan Cup, whatever they're going to call it. That's all you can win. Or you can stay at West Ham, fingers crossed, and, you know, you can win the Premier League or the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. You can play in the Euros and stuff like that. It's I just find the whole thing really bizarre. But it's a good point. I mean, what's going to happen tomorrow? You know, tomorrow's the meeting with the 14 others. You know, I've likened it to, you know, when you used to play football and you play with like a couple of kids and you're about 4 or 5-0 up, and it's their ball, so they've taken it on and just gone off and played on their own. That's basically what it is.
Your ball, go off and play with it, and left all the little kids, so-called little kids, behind.
Exactly, and it's not, you know, I think it's ironic that West Ham getting into the top 4 has basically caused the collapse of European football. That's basically it. So much so they don't want to just start their own league. But look, I mean, I still think it's this massive power play, and they're going to try, and hopefully, well, we know that everything's been condemned by all the federations, UEFA and stuff like that. But they need to now, hopefully after tomorrow's meeting, we'll see at least what happens with the FA. But I mean, even the German league, I know the German, but Schalke could potentially go in. If Schalke go in this Super League, that just completely reduces the whole impact of the Super League. Schalke are bottom of the Bundesliga. You know what I mean? It's like
exactly
Sheffield United in there. Sheffield United could go in there as well. You know what I mean? But look, if we get rid of them, we get Barnsley's, we get Bournemouth, we have a competitive Premier League. But everyone loves the Championship because it's so competitive. Why not we just have a go? Have a go.
Well,
Sodom.
Some great points there. We'll come back to you in a minute because we want to talk. We do want to really delve into this, and in terms of like what can be done. And there's been a lot of announcement and talk about it. And we're going to come to Simon in a bit because obviously, as a League Two side, it does affect the pyramid and the money going down and the aspirations. But let's talk and get Jude's point. I mean, Jude, you actually talk as a fan of a club that has won the equivalent of the Champions League.
Don't remind him of that.
We
don't need reminding of 1982.
I know they're still dining out on it. I'm still dining out of it. But, you know, that is a fact. You've achieved that. You've been relegated to the Championship. Wolves have been all the way down to League One and come back. You've come back. You nearly went down last year, but you've had a good season this year and you built. And at one point this year, you were pushing for European qualification as well. Jude, as a Villa fan, give us your honest thoughts on this and what the fan base of Villa are feeling.
I'm just confused because, you know, I won't believe it until I actually see it in actual concrete. Yes, we've seen over the last 24 hours. I'm still shocked about it because it just doesn't seem real. All of the points that you touched on there, Wolves gone down to League Two, Villa been relegated. That's what makes football. That's why we all support the teams we're doing. You know, I love seeing West Ham in the top 4 at the moment. I love it. I love seeing Wolves in the first season going, you know, and getting Europa League football. That's what makes football and the competition. That's why we're all there. It's all about the fans. It's all about the last minute winners, the cup final heartbreaks, and it's just so disappointing to see these owners. It's not the club's fault. It's not the players' fault. It's the owner's fault. That's what we've got to point out first, because these players, I feel so sorry for the players and the managers right now, because a lot of them, like us, they're football fans, and they will feel as hurt as we are, and they won't have a say, because when you're in a club, Jamie Carragher made a good point, you won't say anything that they support that club. So I feel so sorry for the players, and it will be really interesting to see what these 14 clubs come up with tomorrow.
I think that's going to be a very, very big point because, I mean, seriously, to come out with an announcement and basically alienate their own fan base. I mean, you've seen the black sign that's gone on the gates of Anfield today. You know, I was really impressed. What's his name? God, what's his name? The Man United guy you mentioned yesterday, player. Gary Neville, what he said yesterday, absolutely fantastic what he said. Honest from the heart. I was really impressed with that. Simon, you know, I know Walsall have had a tough year. I know that you were on a losing streak heading towards the National League at one point, but you have picked up and your catchphrase is the joy and the pain as your catchphrase. And it's very true as football fans, we all suffer from that. But when you go through the pain, Simon, you've got to have the hope and the joy. And even as a club like Walsall, who have been in the Championship, and you've beaten Wolves at Molineux. I remember that game
I remember it well.
You remember it. And you, even at that point, even though you were mid-table at that game, it was great. There's still aspirations for Walsall, surely, to be able to work their way up the pyramid back into the Championship, and who knows, you know, push on. They had a great team. I mean, give us your thoughts from a League Two club at the moment.
But just as you say on Walsall, we've got designs on getting back to the Championship. That's sort of the short to medium term aim. Presumably we can get out to League Two, of course. For me,
you nearly did, but you're staying in it this year.
We're trying to get out at the right end. That's right. The top six, when you're playing things like the FA Cup and the League Cup, having a run and coming up against one of those big teams, that sort of like makes your season, doesn't it? Sort of pitting your wits against the likes of the big stars and that sort of thing. So it'd be shame if they went. All this Super League talk, it's another example of money spoiling the game. Again and again, it's just large amounts of money flowing into the ground, flowing into clubs, and it's just making it unrealistic as a normal sort of footballing and building a team and a cohesive team to compete. And it's just about the money. But I don't think the Super League thing will happen. We've got the Champions League. That Champions League is what that's the European competition. I can't understand why they would want to be separate to that. It's madness, really.
You know what? You know, I just want to add in. Yeah, I just want to add in this whole thought process. You know, I don't want to generalize the whole nation, obviously, but it comes from the United States of America, right? You know, Spurs, when they built that stadium, they had to guarantee so many matches for the NFL to come and use and play there, right? The owners of Manchester United and Liverpool, Gary Neville made a really good point. Forget the others, Spurs and Arsenal, you know, they're nothing teams over the last few years. There's plenty of sides in the football pyramid that have won, you know, many more trophies than Spurs recently. So, but Manchester United and Liverpool were always looked up to as the two biggest clubs, right? And both of them are owned by American owners. There's a popcorn culture that they want to bring to football. A sit down on your phone, apps, ordering, pay-per-view. This is the type of thinking they're bringing in. JP Morgan, if anyone knows what JP Morgan are, JP Morgan go in and try and improve your business to make more money. Nothing else. That's their primary, utter focus, is to make more money. Something that any other fan is not interested in. We just want to watch our team play football on a Saturday, preferably at 3:00. It started with the Premier League. Then the TV companies came in and changed our 3:00 kickoff to bloody Thursday and Monday night and, you know, Friday evening and all sorts. And we put up with a lot. Fans have put up with a lot of change, a lot of extra revenue. And now they want to take the American culture. Alexi Lalas, who played in the 1994 World Cup, tweeted in support and says, if it improves things for the customer, then it's a good thing. Who calls fans customers? They don't understand the game. They do not understand the tradition of the game. In England,
it's about the pyramid, isn't it?
It's completely different in England than any other country. The way football is followed, we have 4 divisions. We have big crowds even in the lower divisions. They don't have that anywhere. It's unique the way we follow football. Americans don't understand that. Dave, we've been, and Russ probably knows as well. You go to Arsenal away, you go to Spurs away, you go to Chelsea away, and you see them selfie sticks, phones, and they're even serving popcorn at Spurs. That's the culture they're trying to.
Is that right?
Promote, yeah.
They do it at West Ham as well. They do it at West Ham as well.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. It is an Americanization of our sport. They don't even know how to pronounce it. It's called football. It's not called soccer. We don't call it soccer.
It's the franchise nature, isn't it? I mean, it's not also. I mean, don't forget Arsenal. Obviously, you've got Ivan as well. They're all these American guys, and it's a franchise. I mean, they don't have relegation. They don't have promotions. It's a franchise, and you sit there and halfway through the season, if you're an NFL team and you're 3 for 7, that's it. You're going to just kick back and not do nothing for the rest of the year. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be like an exhibition matches. Yep. That's what I mean.
I was going to say exactly the same there. It's not a league. It's an exhibition. No, it's a series of exhibition games.
And it's someone made a point the other on my show at lunchtime. It was like, okay, 2021 Man U versus Juventus, 2022 Man U versus Juventus, 2023 Man U versus. They've put a 23-year commitment together for this.
That's right. So can't be relegated for 23 years.
Yeah, so like 2040, it's the same game. It's the same game. You know what I mean? It's like that's what I don't understand. It's trying to franchise it, and as Manny made a totally valid point. Totally, it's about this sort of popcorn nature. It is about them downloading it. I mean, there's a clip going around on Twitter from 1994 where they had people from Arsenal fanzine and various others talking about the future of the game and where they saw it in 2004. And basically, it's what it is now. It is what they're saying is happening now with the European Super League, word for word. And that was 25 years ago. Everyone saw it happening. And it's just a shock how it's happened. How literally in the space of about 24 hours, football's just gone like that, completely gone full circle.
If you think about it as well, Russ and everyone else, a few months ago, the same clubs were involved in taking over the decision making as well of the Premier League, and I think some of the same people were involved in it, wasn't they? Jude, I mean, from your point of view, I mean, how do you think this should move forward from like the authorities and stuff like that? I mean, what action? I think many of the 14 other Premier League chairmen meeting tomorrow.
They're meeting tomorrow, and you've seen the statements. We've seen all the statements from each association totally and utterly condemning this. The UEFA president came out today, the chairman, and he called them snakes, liars. We will take the toughest possible sanctions. We'll ban them from all our competitions. We'll decide on Friday whether we let them play in this year's Champions League. At the moment, that's all talk. The proof will be in the pudding. Whether they do that, that will be a big, big step, because their proposition is we will play this Super League alongside the existing competition of domestic league and domestic cup. And the domestic associations aren't particularly saying we're going to ban you from the Premier League. UEFA are saying we're going to ban you from European competition. That doesn't matter because they want to leave it anyway.
Exactly. They're not going to fit in the Champions League when they're playing this, are they?
So there's Manchester City who have dreamt about winning the Champions League, that have never won it, never ever won it. Suddenly they're 2 matches away, 2 ties away, and they're prepared to walk away from it to play in a league amongst each other. How can fans be satisfied with that? How can a Manchester City fan be satisfied with that? I'll tell you which Manchester City fan will be satisfied with that. The one sitting in the USA or Qatar or China.
Sure.
The one sitting in Manchester, a mile away from the stadium, will not want that.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think we as fans have to take this on head on. I think we have a big role in this as the authorities, because we have to challenge this. We as fans don't want, like you say, Manny, the only fans that are going to like this are the ones in China, the ones in America, the ones in all the other countries that are not a mile away from the stadium, not grown up and seen the heartbreak that they've had to go. If you look at Manchester City, where were they 10 years ago? They were die-hard fans. They were die-hard fans that have supported club through thick and thin, and we're at the heart of that. So I think, I don't know, it's really harsh on what to do in terms of the teams right now, because
if you look at it, Jude, look what Leeds fans have gone out there and they've protested. They've had the banners out. All the Leeds players have wore T-shirts with Champions League. That's a very quick step that they've took, and credit to them. And that's the kind of reaction that we need to show as a community, not just football fans, as a community. This is part and parcel of us escaping from our lives, our going to work and the family and get away from the missus, and it is, isn't it? We go to the football for an escape, and this is much more than just the match. Sometimes your match day is actually, you don't really even care about the result, because it's actually the whole experience of going there and meeting your friends, and even if you've lost, you still have a good time. You can have a good time, and they don't understand that. They do not understand that, and they're prepared. Us five as fans are prepared to write us off. We'll write these off because we will get somebody in Qatar pressing download for £5, and that's another £5 into our pocket.
Who was it that said we're looking forward to the new fans and expanding, not the legacy fans? I.e., the legacy fans, they mean the real fans, the fans that actually go to the stadium when we can go to a stadium and actually make the atmosphere and make the match days and stuff like that. I mean, this is a death knell on why some people, and I've heard it from many people, are switching off football. One, obviously no fans at the moment. You've got it wall-to-wall football. You watch your own games. You put the other games on, but it's like in the background like snooker, unless it's a game that you're really keen on in terms of like it affects your team. And then you've got VAR and the way that's been implemented. I mean, like offside's being ruled by, someone's hair flowing off into the distance and stuff. I know you ain't got to suffer this, Simon, VAR yet. And then, you've got this as well on top. It's just killing the game. It's ruining what is the beautiful game bit by bit. And this is allowed to happen if every fan of every club, including the clubs that are affected, do not say no to this, and all the authorities. And to me, there should be no compromise. There should be no compromise, because what they want is more money, and it should be said, if they won't come back into the fold or listen to common sense, personally, I think they should be kicked out. Or Rangers got kicked out of the Scottish League, didn't they? And had to work their way back. What God-given right do these clubs have to tell someone like a Walsall fan or a club of any division that they cannot aspire to go up the pyramid, and they've got a God-given right to have an NFL franchise that they never, ever get relegated, even if they're goddamn rubbish and poor and terrible on the field and they come bottom? Hey, it doesn't matter because we've got a 23-year license. It cannot be allowed. It's got to be stopped. And as fans, we've all got to unite against this, right from the bottom, Stafford Rangers and below, and Pelsall, Villa, and all of those, all the way up to the big clubs, because otherwise the dream is over for every fan of every club. Simon, go on.
Yeah, it's such a crazy situation. It's as I mentioned, it's all about the money, and generally a chairman doesn't buy a football club to make money, do they? It's like a billionaire's plaything.
Traditionally, that was the case, wasn't it, Simon?
Yeah, but the billionaire plaything, they've got together now. The billionaires have got together and think, hang on, can we make money doing this rather than putting 20, 30, 40, 50 million every season? Can we make money out of it? And it's what about everybody else? It's like, now sod the rest. Let's just sort ourselves out. But that's not the English way.
If you think as a business, Simon, it's a right decision, because what happens is, why have I got UEFA and the Premier League sorting everything out for me and then giving me money? I'm now bigger than those associations. Manchester United, Liverpool, we've got owners that are bigger than the actual associations, so we can go direct. We can do our own thing and negotiate our own TV deals and have all of the money. So it's run, like Simon said, completely and utterly as a business, and we're just customers going into a shop. And if that shop wants to close and move somewhere else, they'll do it, and they won't ask me or you.
And as you mentioned, with the American sort of psyche for it, they don't understand the English way. And the English way is being able to grow and build and develop. And then the struggle, as I say on my channel, the joy and the pain. The struggle when you get relegated, you have to sort of rebuild and fight and build back again and go again. And like as all football supporters, we've gone through the joy and the pain, haven't we? Warsaw perhaps more, I would say. But I mean, you've all experienced those kind of issues. And the billionaire with his toy has got to be stopped by somebody. And the EFL speaking against it, saying the governance of the league and the financial spread needs to be adjusted more evenly at the moment.
Simon, can I just stop you there for just 1 second, because Rush has got to jump off for something else in a second. I just want to let him have his last word before he goes, and we can continue the debate, because I know you've got another project that you've got to jump on a second. Rush, what would you, and we'll come back straight back to you, Simon. Rush, what would you want to see happen seriously?
Well, I don't. As I said, I cannot see them going through with it. Fine, this is going to be clipped when in August when it all starts, but I can't see it going to fruition. Because I just think there's so much anti. I've had fans who are Liverpool fans. I've spoken to Arsenal fans on the channel, Man City fans on the channel. They were all against it. And so it will just be them. It will just, if it does happen, they'll be there, and there'll be no one watching it in the UK. And if it means that we've had all this big thing about football runs the game and stuff like that, it might be the not the plague. What's the reverse of the plague? Like the flood. It might be what's needed to reset. And
big reset. Yeah.
Exactly, and I mean, we've all been in the Championship. We all love the Championship. Anyone can win that league. It's an exciting league at the moment. West Ham might have their time. We've got our time in the sun this season. Leicester have had it for a couple of years. You guys had it last year. It's not regular enough to make it competitive. And so if it is that any team can, look at how Formula One's having to rebalance itself in terms of investments. So everyone's on the same research budget, and then it's all about how good the engineering is, how good the drivers are. That's what I think we need to get back to the purity of football. And that will mean also an improvement in the national game as well. Because
that's what the EFL have said that, haven't they? That the EFL have been punting for that to balance the money a bit.
Yeah, and I think that will do, and so and then hopefully that will benefit the England as a nation in terms of our development of our young players as well, because we're not going to get foreign players coming over here and wanting to play in the Premier League. They'll want to be playing for the money. If they're mercenary players, I think that league's going to be full of people like Arnautovic's and people like that who are going to take 300, 400 grand paydays, no loyalty in the game and anything like that. So if it means that we can get back to the old maybe even the pre-Premier League days, it's not ideal, because we will lose money, because they do generate money, the big boys, they do. We know that. If you're doing a match day preview, Dave, if it's Man United, Liverpool, more people are going to watch it than Burnley. Just is. So, it's one hand giveth, the other taketh away. But I think, there's a comment here, all fans united, and that's what it is. If anything, it's brought the fan back, it's brought football together. It's brought football together against these guys. So, look, we'll see what happens after tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see what happens after tomorrow, guys. But anyway, if it happens and they get chucked out, I'll take the Premier League title. I'm more than happy to. I'm more than happy to.
Russ, we'll
Liverpool have got to parade it first, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Just before you go, Russ, because we'll continue the debate on for the last 20 minutes of the show. But obviously, we'll probably follow this up again at some point with the developments. We'll get you back on again.
Sure, definitely.
But so-called top six Liverpool are currently losing to Leeds at this.
You know what? I was just going to mention they're winning. They're beating Leeds 1-0.
The beating Leeds.
Yeah,
they are. I thought
they're beating Leeds 1-0 to get into the. Now they're in fourth place as it stands. Fourth place is the Champions League that they don't want to play in. What a farce! So they've actually jumped into a Champions League position that they're not interested in playing in. It's an absolute lunacy. That match, you sort of want Leeds players just to walk off and say score as much as you want because you're not obviously in for competition. It's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
All right, guys.
Thanks for joining us. We'll get you back
guys.
on, mate. We'll continue. We'll go back to Simon now. Cheers. Cheers, Russ.
See you, Russ.
Simon, sorry to interrupt you there, but Russ was out to go on.
No, that's okay. Do you know, I think the one thing we haven't mentioned so far, the players, the big players for Liverpool and that, a lot of those are not going to want to just play 14 games a season. The fluidity of football is from building a teamwork and playing games. If you're only playing 14 games a season, you're not going to get the same level of quality and cohesion that you get from regular matches. We know what it's like when you see the World Cup and the European Championships. The teams are fairly awful at the start until they've played some games and sort of get into gear. And it'd be the same with the Super League. A lot of players, they enjoy the FA Cup and the challenge. And the managers, the managers haven't been consulted either.
Their proposal is to play alongside everything. So they're saying these players will still be playing in all the competitions. Now, the issue is, will the authorities stand to their word and sanction these clubs? Because that will change the ball game for them. Because you're right, they're not only going to play 14 games in the season, they still want to play the Premier League, whether they play a weekend side because they concentrate more on the European Super League is another thing. But that's now, the players are probably waiting to see what the authorities are going to say about this. What are the Premier League going to say? Go on then, go. See ya, bye. Because the proposal is we're still prepared to play in the Premier League. That's what the proposal is, isn't it? So
these owners are earning lots of money and are rich because the players on the pitch, it's the players that earning the trophies, it's the players that get in the positions in the league and the Champions League, and they haven't even consulted them. I don't understand how the players can't.
The PFA are going to have a big word to say, aren't they?
If you were in a company, if you worked for a company and you turned up one day and it had totally been reorganised and you as an employee wasn't consulted, you'd be on the phone to the union, wouldn't you? You'd say, what's happened here? They've changed everything.
You say that, yes, they would be up in arms, but how about if you're the MD?
Yeah.
Because that's the managers. The managers are like an MD almost, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Perhaps,
yeah, they are.
or a senior manager at least.
I think the only way in some ways to really pull them back for the brink, whether or not this is a negotiation ploy, it doesn't seem like it is, because it's a pre-planned joint statement, and they've apparently taken a loan of something like 4.3 billion and have been guaranteed 310 million pounds a year. The likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid are in financial trouble. They've overspent.
The chairman of the Super League is the president of Real Madrid. The man that never ever talks, Glazer, has self-appointed himself as a vice chairman. Right? These are money vultures. They're not footballing people. They're only interested in lining their pockets, getting a return, and they'll do whatever it can. So it's not actually the clubs you get rid of. You don't get rid of Real Madrid. They've got rich history over years. Do you think they're you don't get rid of Liverpool. You don't get rid of Manchester. You have to get rid of this ownership. That's what the fans have to stand up against and boot the Glazers out and boot FGS out and get rid of these owners. Because even if my club, Wolves, we've got owners, they're not very transparent. They don't really talk to us. So we're sort of pretending to know what their real thoughts are. But if they had thoughts about doing this type of thing, you'd want them out. You'd rather start. I'd rather have a Steve Morgan, just being stable in the Championship than somebody coming in to drive your club into obscurity, like away from the normal fan.
I'll tell you what, as well, another point to look on and from this, and we're talking about the money of the game, and it is true that the likes of the Liga sides are struggling financially. It's been reported, and you look at the Premier League as it is with FFP and that type of thing. Wolves and Villa, can only spend X amount to invest, and they're competing against clubs with better and bigger incomings. By this Super League and what they're going and still being involved in the Premier League, this is another reason really why, to me, it's got to be stopped. They're only going to get richer and stronger again, and the gulf is going to get bigger. And the one thing with recently is that the likes look at Leicester City as an example. They've had owners that have come in, they've built. They won the Premier League. They've made their first FA Cup final since 1969. They've been able to live that dream. They've qualified for the Champions League. Wolves haven't quite qualified for the Champions League, but me and Manny will both remember being at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium just before the pandemic hit. Wolves coming from, behind to beat with a Raul Jimenez goal, Tottenham Hotspur 3-2, and we were dreaming of the Champions League. The gap came, they got their players back, we ended up not making it, but we were dreaming it, we believed it, we could do it, it was in touching distance, and we're Wolves, and I think Villa to an extent, on any given day, can beat any of those top six. Wolves beat Manchester City twice, home and away, when they were champions. Villa top Liverpool 7-2 this season.
It's quite laughable. It's quite laughable having Arsenal in there, isn't it? Because Arsenal, it's their only chance of getting to Europe, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, we've had a crap year, and we did the double over them. Arsenal are no great shakes. They've got in because they've got an American, at the table. That's how they've got in. Trust me. No other reason.
Trying to avoid playing Walsall again in the cup because we keep beating them in the cup.
Look at the goal last night. Fulham v Arsenal. 97-minute equaliser for Arsenal. That goal meant something. It meant that Fulham most likely will be going down to the Championship.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that this Super League, we're not going to have relegation. We're not going to have any competition. We're not. What is the point?
They're just exhibition games. It's not a league, it's an exhibition.
Money. When you Simon says, these games. If you ever watch an American basketball game, or if you watch the NFL, it's about just the day, the game, and the experience, or whatever it is. It's not really about relegation and promotion. They've never been like that.
Bringing back the Harlem Globetrotters, isn't he?
It's basically the World Series of football, owned and run by the Americans. We need to, the fit and proper persons test. Remember that? Well, when a new owner came in, and they used to have the fit and proper persons test. The guy who invented that test, someone needs to ring him up and ask him what he had on there, because let's be honest, we've all had, maybe not Simon, but we've all had big, rich owners take over our clubs. And then we got excited. Yeah, well, there you go. Well, we got excited. We got excited because, there's money coming in. We're going to buy players. So we're brought into a little bit of that just because there's pound signs. We're the same in a way, and maybe for a number of years, we've been a little bit blind. And because the structures stayed exactly the same and there's still a chance to achieve, we're okay with our club spending 50, 60 million and 30 million and 20 million. But it's obscene now. It's obscene. This is like, you're talking billions and trillions. JP Morgan is worth, £9 trillion? Wow. $9 trillion, the actual assets of JP Morgan. It's endless. you know, in the same year as a pandemic where people are suffering to put food on the table, that clubs announce something like this, you know.
Don't you think it's ironic that the Joe Glazier used to be a former employee of JP Morgan?
Didn't know that.
I'll tell you what you just said, Jude, you know, the other thing that I'm really worried about is I don't really trust UEFA and FIFA. I don't really trust those organisations. Qatar World Cup 2022, thousands of people have died building those structures there in a country that knows nothing about football, all because of money. It's gone there because of money. Now, FIFA sold their votes, and we know there was corruption involved. So what's to say a Manchester United Joel Glazer, when he receives his £2.5 billion from this project, doesn't give some FIFA official £10 million in your bank account? Keep yourself quiet, mate. Let us do what we're going to do. I don't trust these organisations, really don't, honestly.
Hey, Manny, can I just make a point here? There's the chap in the thing going on about UEFA with 4 places and X amount of places for the English and the European teams, and he's going on about Hungary. The difference is that I would like to make, and I want to talk about Zortex's comment, the difference is that Hungary, a team from Hungary can qualify for the European leagues and for the Champions League. The Super League, they will have absolutely diddly squat chance. And Zortex, you're right, 25 years ago, the Premier League was formed. It was radical. It was an overhaul. People were against it. But you can still get promoted to
the Premier League, Dave, was based on merit. You had to still get promoted into it, and you could still get relegated from it. So if they say, we're not happy with the Champions League, we're launching a new European Cup. A new European Cup. Everybody can qualify for it. Everybody can get out of it, because these are the reasons we're not happy with the Champions League. You can revamp the Champions League tournament if you want to, but this is self-appointed, behind closed doors, and done with complete and utter arrogance and no transparency. That's what people don't like. When this happens with complete and utter arrogance, we are one of the 12 founding members of the new, you know, they've called it the Super League, and then they've highlighted the in different colours. It's like saying, this is it. How arrogant is that? They've never actually bloody played a match. And they're calling them Super League.
On the day that Arsenal drew to Fulham, I think Juventus drew to Atlanta. It's just, I just don't.
Do you think it's got nothing to do with football? It's just money. That's all.
Do you think there's any coincidence that Josie gets sacked 6 days today? Do you think he's not maybe said something and
only he knows? Only he knows.
It's a very Jose Mourinho thing to do. It wouldn't surprise me. He's that type of character, isn't he?
Jurgen Klopp tonight, you know, I watched the interview and he was stumbling and stuttering. You know, he wasn't really saying what he wanted to say, and held back probably the powers above him who were employing him, because there's no way a manager or a player can be happy with, you know, obviously everybody probably wants to earn more money and line their pockets, but is this what football's about? Is this what players really want to do? Are you sure Harry Kane wants his England place at risk so he can play Real Madrid and Barcelona every week and not have his local? So what happens to Liverpool? They'll never ever have a Merseyside derby again.
Look at the likes of Ajax and and all of those sort of clubs as well. They're not the biggest clubs, but they produce great homegrown players. They do well every year. You look at like your Benficas, your Portos in Portugal, and all of those sort of things. That's why the Champions League is what it is because you can qualify for it and get through. Wolves got to the quarter-final within 3 minutes of going to extra time against Sevilla. In the Europa League, okay, they outclassed us on the night, and they fully deserved, and they went on to win the tournament. But like the other things that are going to be taking it ethically, the sponsors of these clubs, have they not got an ethical thing to withdraw their sponsorship as well? Because if their brand is being tarnished by, you know, being associated with the clubs and what they're doing. That isn't going to be good for the sponsors of those clubs as well. And I tell you what, if the sponsors started to pull their money out of the club because of they don't agree what they're doing, that would hurt them in the pockets.
Dave, I don't think that will happen ever. I think it will increase sponsorship. This is how Americans work. You know, the Scotiabank Saddle Dome, that's the stadiums they call in America. They sell everything for sponsorship. The sponsors aren't traditional sponsors anymore. They're not affiliated to our country either, right? So they don't really care about us, or they will still, a lot of them are betting companies, a lot of them are used by people online, you know. So I don't think they will find sponsors. I don't think it's a money thing. This is just, you know, an arrogant approach to grab our traditional, this is our livelihood. It's a religion for people, you know. People.
Well, it's like
it's a power grab to grab it and take it. America, the one country that have never understood football, and they've tried their MLS, they've tried their, you know, bringing players over. It's never worked.
And they don't like draws either, do they?
All the power is in Europe in football. So they thought, well, we're rich enough. Let's go over there and let's buy the cream of European football and do whatever we like with it. Because if we lose Dave, Manny, Simon and Jude, who cares? Because we'll get 4 others. They've got plans. They will get those people. You know, it's not about us. We have to stop this for our way of life. For our way of life.
Gary Neville, I think it was, said on Sky earlier, likes of Man United have seen all of the, you know, the international fans getting an app, selling the game for £1 a game, 150 million fans around the world, 150 million pounds a pop for every game. That's where the revenue is. And every team needs to aspire to broaden its global fan base. And Wolves are trying to do that. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. But like, closing the shop and shutting the door is wrong. And I tell you, the broadcasters have got some responsibility as well with this, because if they don't broadcast the matches as well, that's, you know, and given the money to broadcast it, there's not a public demand because the fans do not want it or are refusing to watch it. The only thing that's going to hurt them is the lack of money coming in. And the broadcasters, the sponsors, the fans, the actual fan groups, you know, the governments, the FIFA, UEFA, and the FAs of every single association, they've all got to take a very, very strong position, because if they show a weak hand, they'll get their way. And at some point, this has been building.
This hasn't happened on Sunday night. This has been building. Manchester City are affiliated to New York, whatever, you know, club, that's their club, owned by them. Arsenal have got a sister club in America. You know, this is NFL teams are coming over to use the stadiums. The stadiums are built like American stadiums, designed for concerts and events. They're not even built as traditional football stadiums as we remember at you know, we used to go to. So it's a step-by-step process, and now is that final big thing of grabbing all the money for ourselves. We never go anywhere. We look after ourselves. We'll let 5, you know, random teams join us every so often through some sort of system, but we're not going anywhere. And if you're Arsenal, tell me, if you're Arsenal and you lose the first 4 games of the season in the European Super League, so you're bottom of the league, that's the end of the league for you. You're not going to win it. You're not going to achieve anything. How can you get any pleasure from that?
I think the people that actually go to the games, I think that were, if it did go ahead, bear in mind, as Manny quite rightly said, it's a family event and it's meeting up with your mates and that sort of stuff. If you've only got 7 home games a season, you're going to start going somewhere else, perhaps, and they'll perhaps move to like a local team. They'll start going to watch a local team instead.
I think we've had Arsenal for Life has just commented. He said, I'm going to start supporting Wolves. So.
Yeah, here he is. Look, we'll welcome you to the pack, mate.
Yeah.
You've seen the light.
He's probably from Wensfield, isn't he? Yeah.
We've got about 5 or 10 minutes left before we end the show, guys. Just to let you know, and I'm really grateful for how popular this show's been. So many people watching along in the stream. If you've enjoyed this content and you want to see more of it, please smash a like on the video, and obviously you look at subscribing to the channel, both myself, Walsall Fan TV, and of course Jude's channel as well. If you want a lot of pain, definitely join join Simon. So just to conclude, and we'll come to you last on this one, Manny, because I know you'll have a strong point on it. We'll go with you first, Simon, and then come to you, Jude. What would you like to see the Premier League do on their meeting tomorrow? What would you like to see to come out of that to protect the game and be strong? How far would you be willing for them to go? Do you want them to just give them a little slap on the hand, coerce them, or would you like to put the risk of them being kicked out or relegated down to maybe League Two or worse? What?
I think potentially kicking out, but I think money speaks. So I think probably points deduction is probably going to be the most that would happen to them. But then they've got to adjust the fair play rules, because, as you say, if they did join the Super League, financially, they're going to have a much bigger hand than they'd had previously. So they'd need to be readdressed for that. From a Walsall fan point of view, obviously, it's a slight disconnect for it taking a lot of money away from the Premier League. If they were kicked out, that's reducing the amount of money that's dropping down to the likes of Walsall, Colchester, and the lower league teams and that. So I think probably a slap on the hand, but I mean, it would be nice if it was properly redressed and they're given a firm, you're either with us or you're gone.
And you, Jude, how far would you go with this to, how strong do you think we need to make this line in the sand right now?
I don't think it'll happen, but I'd love for it to come back and bite these big six clubs, and they go all the way down to League Two. But like Simon says, money talks, and the amount of revenue that Premier League bring in. So I think a points deduction at the least, at the best. I think you get demoted to League Two, and then all the big name players, because honestly, I don't think the Super League is going to go ahead with all the backlash if we all come together. It definitely won't go ahead. So I think best case scenario from our point of view is they get relegated to League Two, and then all of the big name players come to your Villas, your Evertons, your Wolves, and we form a new Premier League, and then we make the owners hurt, and we make them rebuild and go the hard way.
Absolutely.
I know you'd come to me, but I was just thinking, if rather than this Super League, if they'd have had a summer sort of extra tournament or something, and during the close season, I think that's something that perhaps might have been acceptable. But what they're suggesting is sort of way out of order. Sorry,
I think that's a fair point. I'm going to come to Manny now, because I'm sure he'll have some very interesting...
You know what? Rule 9 of the Premier League law book. Any team can play in any competition, and they can apply to play in any competition with the approval of the Premier League. Without the approval of the Premier League, they can actually be excluded from the Premier League. So it's not an active...
Radio Jules is saying Premier League rules state that clubs cannot play or sign up to any unsanctioned competition. I think that's your point you're making.
So just making the point, if those 6 teams said, hello, Premier League, we would like to do this. Is this okay by you? And Premier League says, yes, there's a gap in the calendar. Go ahead. But they've done this off their own back. They've gone away from the Premier League, done it, and the Premier League have completely condemned it. And because they've done it that way, the Premier League are allowed to actually, under I think it's Rule 9 of the Premier League law, that they are allowed to throw them out. So it's now down to, this is quite a severe threat the European Super League has made to the formation and the pyramid structure of our game. So why can't the Premier League be a little bit severe and say, right, you're not playing in our competition, and then see how they respond to that? Because if it's like, oh, we're going to give you a 10-point points deduction, well, they don't want to play in the Champions League anyway, so that's not going to affect them. They don't care about a 10-point or a 20-point. They don't care. Doesn't matter, because they don't want to play in that competition anyway. They've already decided what they're going to be playing in. If a 10-point points deduction gives them the European Super League, they'll take it. So I think the Premier League have to be fully, behind what they said and totally condemn it and say, because it has happened without the approval of the other 14 clubs and without the approval of us, then sorry, the sanctions will be you are removed from the competition.
Well, and Sarah's saying here, kick them out the 92.
And then so that's where we're at. So it's almost like they've said on Sunday night, this is what we're going to do. So now the ball's in the other court. The meeting's there tomorrow. We'll see what these Premier League chairmen decide. Phone calls are already happening. The 14 club chairmen are already making phone calls, probably to the finances of this project as well. Because some of them will think, what can we make out of it? It's a lot of money. It's not just the 6 teams that are in it for the money. There's other owners that are in it for the money as well. So, just because they haven't been invited doesn't mean they wouldn't have signed up. It's okay for a club to come out now and say, oh, definitely, we definitely wouldn't have joined that. We don't know that. If somebody came to them and says, here's 400 million quid, would you like to join us? Maybe they might have. So it's down to these 14 clubs. Let's see what they say. Let's see if they make a stand. It's like, say, you're working in a factory with 20 employees and 6 of them decide to do something and the other 14 ain't happy. You've got to make yourselves heard. You've got to really, impose the strictest possible sanctions of possibly excluding them from the tournament. And then will the players accept that? They want to play. These players, like Ross said about Declan Rice, all the others as well in that top 6, I'm sure they want to play matches. They want to go. They want to play local derbies. They want to play London derbies. They want to go up to grounds around the country. They want to play these games. I'm sure they do. So if they're threatened to be excluded from that, the FA Cup, the League Cup final on Sunday, the EFL have said, we condemn this. Their premier competition, the League Cup, is being played by 2 of the teams in this Super League. You want to break? It's just a farce. It's just a nothing event. It's a nothing event. It's a friendly match. That match on Sunday is a friendly between 2 clubs. You don't care about it. It's a ridiculous situation. And the ball's in the league's court, the Premier League's court, the UEFA's court. They've said a lot of things, but now let's see what action they take.
I think you're right, Manny. I mean, I'm quite with you. To me, sometimes in life, you have to stand up to the bullies. You have to stand up to the bullies, because if you don't, they will forever bully and just keep getting their own way. And by bullies, I don't mean any of the fans of any of those clubs, because you've seen.
I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for the fans and the club, because I haven't heard a Liverpool fan or a Man United fan saying, bring it on. We don't need the Premier League. They've all condemned it. So they're left in a hopeless situation of having to turn their back on the club that they've supported. Put yourself in that situation. If that was the Villa, if that was the Wolves, how would you feel about having potentially to turn that's heart-wrenching. That's all you've ever known. That's all you've ever done,
And maybe take their titles off them retrospectively, take them off them. It happens in the Olympics when someone's got caught out for taking drugs and stuff. They take them off. Take their titles off them. That would hurt as well. But I do feel sorry for the fans. I hope you've seen today some of the Liverpool fans putting that, as we talked about earlier, and I'm sure that fans of all of those clubs are going to be making their points, and they've got to be strong. We've got to unite against it. I really do hope that the 14 chairmen come out tomorrow or whenever the meeting is and come out with a strong statement, and they do threaten that if you carry on with this, then your place in the elite of English football is at jeopardy and you could be kicked out. Rangers, as some people have pointed out, have gone down. I think Juventus got kicked down in the Serie A, didn't they? Is it Schalke that's joined up as well now?
Well, potentially in the bottom of the league. Virtually, aren't they? Ridiculous. You know what? One thing, let's end on a bit of a positive. As a Wolves fan, Walsall fan and a Villa fan all agreeing, that's never happened before. So, one thing this has done, it has united everybody, pundits, presenters, ex-players, us fans, it's united us. The opposition voices, you go on Twitter, the opposition voices are saying, oh, it's a good thing. You go on their profiles. It's Kansas, it's Florida, it's New York. It's not from Bilston or Lambeth, or it's not from down the road from these clubs. And, so it's brought us together, and it's maybe a bit of realisation for us as well as fans about when these owners actually come in, what do they really want? What are their intentions? Do we ask enough questions about our owners? Even as a Wolves fan, I'm sitting here and saying, why doesn't our owner come out and talk to us? He never does. I want to hear it. I want to hear his thoughts.
You don't hear very often, do you?
I want to hear his thoughts. What does he think about it? I don't want to hear a journalist saying, oh, we think Wolves may have this approach to it. We want to hear from them. We want to hear condemnation from them, because we want to make sure our club is in the right hands.
I would love Jeff Shee to come out and make a statement that as a club, we're absolutely. That would be great. I mean, Jeff is quite a quiet man behind the scenes, and he does come and talk to us every so often. But it would be lovely for the club, Wolves as a club, to make a statement. I'm guessing, Jude, you'd probably agree that from a Villa fan as well.
Villa have been brilliantly run since we've had a takeover, and I'd love for them to come out and like you Wolf fans do, and say that they're nowhere near this project and they support the fan, because they've been like that from day one. So hopefully they stay like that.
And
I think you know what, one thing, it's taken the bloody limelight off VAR, because that was the biggest farce in football. Bloody hell, the Super League said, "Hold my beer." We'll put that to the back, in the middle.
Hold my beer.
Hold my beer, yeah.
Alien Tenno, he's a Man United fan, and he begs every football man to unite to stop this madness. Guys, it's been an absolute joy tonight to talk to you all. Everyone that's watched the stream tonight, we will put this out on the podcast as well. Please, again, leave your comments below once you finish watching this video, against the formation of the Super League. Everyone put a comment on there. That'd be absolutely amazing. Please smash a like to the video. Before we finish, can you please, everyone in the chat, please thank myself and my co-host Manny tonight, Simon from Walsall Fan TV, and Jude. And Jude, you just want to give everyone your channel name before we finish?
Yeah, Jude's Journey. I'm an aspiring young journalist trying to prove you could something you love. I do some Wolves interviews, so do check it out. Thanks. Okay.
And Simon, over to you. Thank you so much for your input tonight. It's been brilliant to have you come on and join us, representing the views of, a League Two club. I think it's very important, because it's not just affecting the Premier League clubs. It affects clubs of all shapes and sizes. Walsall, a local Midlands team as well. And we are glad that you're staying up in League Two, and we do hope that you've got better days ahead. But Simon, if you could just finish off with your final words and give everyone your channel.
Yeah, thanks very much for inviting me on. It's been good. Walsall, the joy and the pain, as we sort of mentioned. Walsall, we do live streams of every match, or we have this season. And we have nice in-game chat. Some of it's about the football, but when the football's not so good, we chat about all kinds of stuff, looking back on Walsall of the past and great players and that sort of stuff. As well as, I'm sure, tomorrow night against Salford, we'll be talking about the Super League as well, I should guess. So, come and join Walsall Fan TV, the joy and the pain.
And
I hope you have a lot more joy. And Manny, just finally from you, if you've got...
I don't have, I'm just a fan. Come on, I haven't got my own. I'll just join Dave and help him out. But you know what?
You can follow on Twitter, though. And
I'm on Twitter, at Pedal Sing. But, let's just take a deep breath, and maybe, this is what football just needed. It needed, if you've got villains, this is what they are. If you've got villains in the room, then it's good that they show themselves, and maybe they've shown themselves, and now we can do something about it. I hope we can, and I hope it gets overturned and fans have more say in the future of their football clubs. And if we don't think we do, that we all demand that as supporters groups, demand more say and demand more interaction to make sure our clubs are in proper hands, protecting the culture, the tradition of your normal working class fan, not a corporate person sitting in the other side of the other side of
eating cucumber sandwiches. We'll probably do a follow-up on this debate, you know, as we watch it develop. And so, you know, obviously we'll follow the story. It's a new feature on the channel tonight, launching tonight, the big debate. I've had some absolutely brilliant guests, all made some great contributions, and that also goes to you guys that are watching wherever you are in the world, with all the comments that you've been giving and talking amongst yourselves, and we've been putting on the screen. It's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you everyone for joining, and you know, leave your comments and like the video as well before you go. And once again, thank you very, very much to Simon, to Jude, and to Manny, and from myself, Dave. Always Wolves, but wherever we are, the Super League, we must unite together, and by that, hopefully, we can stop it from happening. From all of us, have a great evening. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.